Joining me here today, it's the one, it's the only, the leech himself, Damon Jackson, set to fight March 12th against Kamuela Kirk. What's going on, sir? How are you?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I assume we're catching you right now, right in the heart of training camp, right? Fight is about a month away. What's training camp looking like at this point? Are you obsessively thinking about this fight?
Yeah, you kind of go through like your game plan over and over, but right now it's just really intense, like hard rounds, hard wrestling, hard jujitsu, hard everything. Just super intense right now. But kind of did some game planning at first, and now it's in the hard stuff. My conditioning is pretty hard right now, and I'm starting to bring my weight down a little bit lower and get ready for that cut.
I assume you're training, of course, with the guys over at Fortis. I know they make training camp especially not fun from everything I've heard. Is that the case for you
Yeah.
too?
Yeah, no, man, I've been there since the beginning. It's just it's a great place. You get the individual attention every time you get a fight. So it's nice to go in there with, my group of guys that I train with, and then, we have a good little mix of grapplers and jits and everybody else that comes into our gym. So, yeah, we might bring in a handful of people that aren't really fighters to come in and grapple, or to come in and, work a certain thing. So, it's definitely in the rough of it now though.
What makes it not fun, especially? I know everybody says like Safe likes to be hard on everyone and make things miserable. Why is it like that for everyone?
I don't know. I'm not. I would never say it's not fun. Like, I enjoy going to the gym. I enjoy like cutting weight. Like I'm a little different than a lot of the guys, but like, I don't mind doing all that stuff. And I like having someone in there that takes it as serious as him, because you'll have that day where you come in and you can just tell that if you ever have one of those coaches that you come in and you can tell they're not having a good day, that practice is going to be easy, or it's going to be super hard, or like whatever. But with coach, it's very consistent every day. It's kind of the same thing. Like, whatever we have going on, like, you show up to practice, you show up on time, and you don't fuck around. So it's nice to have him so consistent, and that's, I think a lot of people just aren't used to that consistency, but is why they think it's so intense all the time, because he's intense all the time, because he expects nothing less from the team. So I think that goes a long ways.
You said something very strange that I don't think I've ever heard someone say before. You like weight cutting. What is the story behind that? Is it about what it symbolizes, or do you actually like the process of cutting weight?
No, I enjoy it because, like, you get in such a routine with the way you eat and the way you train, the way you do everything. So when it comes fight time, you have to really kind of really key in and focus on, what you're eating and exactly how you're, training and stuff, and like what kind of food you should be having, and the amount of calories. But that's my job. Outside of fighting, I'm a trainer, and I've been a trainer my entire life. Like, since my senior year of high school, I started training people, and so it's a big part of like what I do day to day. And so to get to go through all those little things myself, and get to kind of share with people how I cut the weight and how they can lose weight and stuff, it's really cool to see people use the skills that I use, that I have used for years, cutting weight for fights, to actually lose, good weight for themselves. So
I
I
assume for
enjoy
you,
it. Yeah.
I assume for you as a trainer, like you have that advantage over a lot of people. Not only you're a professional athlete, but you're going through a lot of what these guys go through. Have you found that you have a big advantage over the average trainer?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that but see, I got this from coach, because I've been a trainer my whole life and everything, and like, but I always had like another job. I always had something else going on, because it just wasn't enough. Like, you could train someone for an hour and make like $40 or something. So when I moved to Dallas, I'm people make great money here. People um but they also expect a very high level from you. And getting to grow up under coach and see the way because he trains people still to this day. He probably trains like in between like 6 to 8 people a day. And to see him go through all that, and to train as many people as he does with as much as he does, I just kind of realized that I could be doing more, financially for my family, if I'm working full time outside of, having a fight, and working all the time and trying to build myself up to that level, to where, one day I'm going to open a gym. So that's kind of my goal, is to, get so good at what I do, as far as like training people and the techniques from fighting, and kind of transfer all that together. And I definitely have a huge advantage over, like a basic trainer. So it's definitely nice to have that.
But right now, the big talk is fighter pay. You mentioned having this full time job outside of it. Is this something that you have to do, or is this something that you want to do because, like you mentioned, you're set to build
Yeah.
it into something bigger?
Well, I mean, I have 4 kids. A lot of guys don't have kids like that. A lot of people don't have that kind of commitment. So, for me, I can't selfishly take a fight every 6 months or whatever it is. Like, I can't do that and make that my only financial commitment to my family. So it's like, if I want to selfishly chase this dream and make sure that I'm all the time spent away from my kids, I've got to make sure that that actually pays off. So like every time I leave my house, I got to make sure that I'm making money, but I'm also getting my training in. So I train people from like 6 to 1 p.m. every day, and then around 1 o'clock, I hit it real hard, or maybe I have a few clients that I get to grapple with in the morning and stuff like that. So like whenever I come in the morning, I train people, and then I work out, and then I train some more people, and then I go back home for a little while. I get to pick my kids up every day from school, or I get to see them every day, and then I go back at night for practice. And training people, just it's one of the best jobs I could have, as far as like, if I want to do this full time and still make money on the side. It's the best way for me to like promote myself to my clients and also to my gym. And it really helps a lot of people out having the background that I have, and getting to like go through it myself and kind of explain to them like where I'm having trouble with my weight cuts and stuff like that. So it's definitely a fun little job.
So with that being said, how important is your free time for you? Because it sounds like you don't have a whole lot of it. So I assume if you can have
I
a
don't
little bit of
Yeah,
time to
I
yourself,
don't
you got to
have a
cherish it.
yeah, I don't have a lot of free time per se, like, just sitting around and like watching TV and stuff like that doesn't happen. Me and my wife try to watch different shows and stuff, but it has to be at night when I'm not training the next morning, for us to be able to watch TV and stuff. So that's not that big a deal. But my kids, like, they all do sports. They all play select something, some sport select, where they're having to practice 3 or 4 days a week, and they're having to train all the time, and they have tournaments and everything. So me and my wife do a pretty good job with spacing everything out. But and they all kind of do different sports, which is cool because that helps out. They don't all do the same sport. So that actually helps a lot. But fighter pay is one of those things where, yeah, you could sit there and argue that all day. But like, if you're not bringing something, constant attention to the UFC, and you're not bringing stuff to them, like, they shouldn't have to pay you that much more. Maybe a little bit more would be nice, but like, it just, I don't know how you would break that down, but like maybe a certain amount of fights in the UFC, and you get to, you know, get a, quite a bit higher payday, not just a little bit, because it goes up a little bit each contract, but it doesn't go up like a crazy amount, which is kind of frustrating. If you, put in 5 or 6 fights with a company, you would want them to pay you more. But at that point, like, this is my last fight on my contract, so I'm gonna go out there and fight my ass off, and hope they re-sign me and hope that they give me another shot. And I think they will if I go out there and finish this kid. And I go out there and put on a good show. Like, maybe I'll make some more money. But it's kind of, they took all that. They took all the burden to keep the company going during COVID and during all that hard time where all these companies were falling out, and nobody was having fights except for the UFC. No one was having a professional athlete come around each other. Like, it was like the UFC was the only thing that survived through COVID, and they took all that heat, they took all the money, and they took all that stuff, and they had a big loss, but then they came back strong, and now they're stronger than ever. So I don't think they should have to pay us just because they're doing so good now. But I think that you need to bring something to the table before you start asking for more money. So if you're not in the top 20 or top 10, then you don't really have a whole lot to say. Like, there's not a whole lot you can do for the company. So, you got to shut your mouth and work your way up.
So with this being the last fight on your contract, was that something that you and your team decided to do? Did it kind of just happen that way? What's kind of the situation here? What can you tell us about that?
No, I think that the UFC is just kind of, they've been taking the heat for so long, where they're like, they get these guys on 8 fight, they have 8 fights on their contract, and they're fighting like 1 or 2 fights, and they're trying to ask for more money, which is insane because it's a contract and that's not how it works. And then you go out there and, if say you want to take off, like, you have 1 fight per year, like, how are they going to make any money off you? How are they going to build you up? So it's like, I think that what they're doing is they're putting some of that on the fighters now, and they're making us kind of fight for our right to be there. And that's kind of that's the way I look at it. Is that, like, I'm fighting for my shot to be out there fighting for the highest level. I don't want to fight for anyone else. I want to fight for the UFC, and that's it. And so I need to go out there and make sure they understand that, and make sure that they see that I have potential to be in that mix of top 10, top 15 guys. So I don't take it any hard way or nothing. It's just they're not re-signing people because they want to make sure that you really want to be there. So they're making you fight for it, and that's it. It's kind of like Ultimate Fighter every time.
Does that put extra pressure on you going into this fight with Kirk because you feel like a fight itself is pressure, but you have a little extra too?
No, I just go out there. I'll fight hard. I'm gonna fight hard for sure because I'm motivated right now. I should have finished Rosa. I should have went out there and fought him a little bit tougher and got that finish. But he kind of played a defensive game the whole fight. So it was kind of like me going out there and getting to finish this fight's important to me. But I want to go out there and put on like I want to make sure they understand that I'm there to fight and I'll fight anyone.
Well, what kind of fight are you expecting out there? Because if we listen to you, it sounds like we're expecting something very fun, sort of a stand and bang kind of thing. What kind of fight are you expecting?
I mean, he's got a pretty solid jiu-jitsu background, and everybody knows my style. That's no, I'm not gonna lie. Like it's, I would easily say that the fight's gonna go to the ground at some point. I think that his defense of jiu-jitsu is gonna be great, and I think that my defensive wrestling and defensive jiu-jitsu is gonna be great. I think that the fight could end up being a stand-up battle until someone gets hurt, and then the takedowns will start coming in. And I think that it's going to be a good fight for sure. I think that, it's like one of those things where like you see two grapplers matched up, and you think it's going to be just a grappling fight, and that's not the case a lot of times. And I think that that's kind of how it's going to be this fight. And I think that I have the better wrestling pedigree to either take him down or keep it standing. So it'll kind of be up to me for where the fight goes.
Is that a fun puzzle for you, putting up the wrestling against the jujitsu? A lot of guys, some people are afraid of the submissions and stuff. Is that fun for you?
I've been doing jiu-jitsu since 2005. Like it doesn't bother me one bit to go against someone that calls themselves a black belt and and says whatever they want about like their jiu-jitsu skill level. I've been grappling with some of the best people in the world. I've been testing myself with some of the best wrestlers in the world, and to go out there and fight someone that's a great wrestler, you got to use jiu-jitsu against them. And you fight someone with a jiu-jitsu background, you got to use your wrestling against them. And I have both those things that I'll be able to turn on and off. And I think that it's going to be a good fight for sure. And I think that it is going to have a lot of stand up.
Who are some of the people that you're working with this training camp? It sounds like a lot of people, they sort of work with the same people for their camps. Who are you kind of working with?
I always have Peterson in there. This kid named Abdul. You guys don't know him yet. He's on the UFC, but he should be. The kid's freaking solid, man. He's fought for Fury. He's fought for he's fought all around the world, and dude's solid as hell. And I think that after this next fight, he'll be in. Miles Johns, his brother EJ. And we have a lot of jits guys that I've been working with that all they do is jits, and I train in multiple gyms. I wrestle with the Rockwell High School, and a lot of those kids, and just getting to get my reps in, man. I'm training with a little bit of everybody. I'm doing a lot of grappling, a lot of boxing, a lot of stand up work just to mix it up because I know that his wrestling defense is going to be on point, and his Jets defense is going to be on point. So
All right, one last question for you. It's an easy one. It's an obvious one. I'm sure you've heard it a million times, but how do you see yourself getting your hand raised in this fight?
that forward pressure breaking this dude like Billy Q. Yeah, Billy Q went after him and got on him, and I'm gonna do the same thing. And like if it stays on the feet, I'm down to stay on the feet. I'm there to get a new contract, so I got to win the fight and go forward and take him out, and that's my goal.
All right, well, we look forward to it. Thanks so much for the time, man. I really appreciate it.